originally released on the PlayStation 1, which also broke the master streak of Final Fantasy titles being released on Nintendo systems. Final Fantasy VII came to be, and you know what it is, I know what it is. This is quite frankly one of the biggest RPGs ever made, one of the most famous RPGs ever made, and is always the face of parodies when it comes to JRPGs. This game is super well known, so many scenes probably people even know without even having played the game to begin with, and is what put Final Fantasy on the worldwide map. I have to say the previous games didn't necessarily poorly, but this is the one that completely blew up in popularity and made people aware. Even people who never played JRPGs were like, yo, what is this Final Fantasy VII game? So let's talk about that. So the main premise is that you play as Cloud, this mercenary for hire, who works for this terrorism group named Avalanche, who wants to destroy Shinra reactors because they're draining the planet dry of resources. And while things do generally start out that simply, things do spiral out of control, whether it be Shinra responding to the act of terrorism, or being the fact that a new threat to this whole entire thing, only known as Sephiroth, which Cloud seems to be very aware of out of the entire group. So things do start out simple, but things get crazy even just throughout the game's prologue. So let's get this main point out of the bag because one of the things that drew people's attention. This game looks amazing, especially being the first 3D entry of this game. I know people nowadays try to be like, oh, it looks ugly, shut up. It was HD for its time and still looks good, although there are some liberties with some re-release at the PC port, including in the unused mouths that were not used for a reason, people. So there's stuff like that, but I know people complain about, oh, they look like Popeye figures and awkwardness. Yeah, shut up. They're HD for their time and they look good. I still think this game looks good, especially pre-rendered backgrounds or the transitions from FMV to pre-rendered backgrounds to some shots of this game. It still looks good, and it's also the main point people drew people into this game. Like, people came in because it just looked cool, it looked interesting, and that's basically what drew non-RPG fans into this game. Just to see what is this game that looks like this. And yeah, the FMVs still look good. I mean, people still parody or reference FMVs to this day, so you can't really go, oh, this game looks ugly and hideous. I mean, people still reference a whole lot of FMVs and scenes with this game, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Time for the gameplay was where the game starts having issues with me. This is the Materia system, which is you basically have these items called Materia, which can grant certain abilities, generally magic abilities, and you can equip them to the characters. Equipping these Materia to the characters will also alter their stats in order to make them more like proficient in the kind of thing it is, so more magic materia, but the characters start having more and more mage-like qualities, even if they're not naturally a mage kind of thing. But right, but there's the fact that one, majority of materia are all magic related, so not really much you can do for the way of trying to customize for physical stuff. And two, it basically robs a big character of any sort of identity gameplay wise, because every character has to rely on the materia system. So even you have characters that are like, oh, Yuffie, she's a ninja. Is she? She needs a materia in order to do the basic ninja abilities. Like, it's so weird when Final Fantasy VI did something similar where characters had unique abilities, but then later you had things you could equip on them to make them better. But here, no, every character is basically a blank slate of their abilities. And you may think, we're like Final Fantasy V, so much like this one. Not necessarily, because Final Fantasy V, they're trying to put the point of the characters are supposed to be proficient at a certain thing. And also, again, this just robs characters all their identity, because there's not much customization you can really do with the materia. Like, even max out materia, all you really get is just another copy of the materia. So I don't really think the system really does much. There are some combinations you can do, like with the materia allows you to customize the affinity of a weapon or armor, which can lead to some cool results, or also the summons in this game that are grand spectacles that really need a fast forward button. I know re-releases do that, but it's just one of those things that just, I don't feel like there's enough customization for this system compared to like 45's job system, where the materia system just kind of being underwhelming, especially when they're just things that should be done normally instead of has to be done with a materia equipped, which just feels like the characters don't really have anything to them as a result. I really just don't like that whole entire aspect of the materia system. My biggest gripe with this game is the mini games. Not necessarily that they exist, more so because they're mandatory, and I'm not gonna lie, it feels like there's so many mini games in this game, either to show off the graphical fidelity of Final Fantasy VII, or because combat is generally so simple with this materia system that generally it feels like the minigames are there to basically hold your attention, because I don't feel like the main gameplay itself can really do that with just how simple it feels to do combat compared to other Final Fantasy entries. So I know many people say that, oh, the mini games on RPG needs mini games like this. No, an RPG that's not confident in itself needs so many mandatory mini games. That's not they're not the same thing. But just one of those issues I have with this game, like so many mini games, and I just don't like the mini games. Like, only one I think is passable is probably G-Bike early in the game, but the rest are like, why are we doing this? Why do I gotta do this kind of thing? It just feels like either showing off the graphics, fidelity, what it can do with the game, or just basically going, hey, the combat may not be up to snuff, but hey, look, there's mini games you can do. Just hold your attention. Look at these cool moments. Except one of them became the source of memes because of the timing in which it happens. Or one of them just flat out pointless minigame kind of thing. Like, just what is this thing? Like, why do it have to be all mandatory kind of thing? Like, why must it be so many of these things? Like, I don't like it. I know people are going, but it's Final Fantasy VII, no minigames. Yeah, it's meant to like the minigames at all. I just find them more annoying to do. That's something this game's also well known for, the side content. There is so much side content, and feels like some of them need a guide for, because some of them I'm not sure how you would know how to do them, but there's a lot of side content and stuff you can do in this game. I know the big one people do is Chocobo raising. I'll never do it, can't make me do it. I hate Chocobo raising and Chocobo racing. But freaking, it's just a lot of stuff you can do in this game once you have the ability to just basically traverse the entire world better. So it's also a very cool thing, and some even aren't even necessarily just side quests, some are just little cool things, little cool moments you can just see and just have someone see and respond to, like just those kind of moments. There's also an extra scene that was added when this game was originally localized on PS1 that I actually wish was a more mandatory scene, but it's so out of the way that I can't really imagine so many people stumbling upon it without a guide. And I wish more people saw that scene because I felt like it really adds to the game's narrative. Although, funny enough, I found out it's also for a character that originally the devs had to sneak in by the director's back. So that's kind of a funny whole entire thing of how they do that. But there's just plenty of side content to do in this game. Places have to go around, and there's even some side content that actually is mandatory. But you can actually get it done early in the game, so you don't have to worry about it later. So it's also that kind of cool thing you can do with this game. When it comes to the cast of characters for Final Fantasy VII, there's only about 3 I actually like, one of which is optional. Actually, there's 2 characters in the party who are optional. But when it comes to the party, I genuinely like Cloud, Barret, and Vincent. That's about it. I just don't really feel strong about anyone else, except Sid. I hate Sid. But freaking Tifa, like, she's okay. Aerith, she's alright. Yuffie, she's okay. Cait Sith, you know what? I used to hate you, but you know what? You're okay, Cait Sith. You're alright. But I just don't really feel strong about the party, which probably also affects why I don't feel strongly about certain major moments that this game is known for, because I don't really care much for the character in question, and it's just kind of one of those things, you know, but I don't know. I do like the game's villain, Sephiroth. I do like how he's handled, though I probably don't like him as much as other people enjoy him and really love Sephiroth as a villain, and even to the point where they keep highballing his feats and abilities was like, oh no, especially not compared to other Final Fantasy villains. Oh no. But he's a pretty good villain for this game. I do like his whole entire story and character deal. Which is why needing Emma Crisis to add more details that were not necessary, it was creepy stupid to me, but that's a completely different game. Overall, I just like Final Fantasy VII. It's still a good game, and I don't understand how people do try to treat it as if it's outdated or bad, especially when they compare it to Final Fantasy VII Remake, which requires knowledge of this game, so I don't know why you would be bashing this one at all. But Final Fantasy VII is still a good game. You can still see why it became such a popular game around the world, why it became the face of JRPGs to this day. Like, it's still a good game. Many people still love this game. Final Fantasy VII is still basically a franchise within itself, and it gets people's attention because this game was so good. This game brought attention to other Final Fantasy games before it, after they made this one and then ported more games to PS1. And I wish those ports to PS1 ports of their own games were better. That's beside the point. But freaking Final Fantasy VII is still good. It still has not necessarily the greatest combat, but hey, it's fun. It's at least fun combat, but a little bit simple. You got a lot of side quest content, so you like doing side stuff, you can do that. There's also do stuff that's finish out the characters as well, which is also pretty cool. Sephiroth's a pretty good villain, you know. There's just a lot of cool stuff going around for this game. FMV still look good, graphics still look good. I don't care what anyone says, but freaking I don't really see that some people start bashing this game, especially when 7 Remake became a thing. Like, it's still a good game, and I like it. But now people either try to overblow how, oh, it's so bad, outdated, it's so old, I gotta read, like that kind of stuff. Like, it's a good game. Although despite how much I like Final Fantasy VII, I'm still the opinion, if someone asked me why is this game worldwide famous, it's because it was pretty and because it was easy to pick up and play. And not necessarily anything Final Fantasy VII does better than games after it or games before it. Like, when I'm talking about games that does things better than Final Fantasy VII afterwards, go to Final Fantasy X. You want to talk about games that did better than Final Fantasy VII, go to Final Fantasies 4, 5, and 6, and also 3. So, not necessarily that it did the best of things, it was just, it managed to do big feats that got people's heads turned and got people interested. Gameplay was so simple, easy to pick up, that they picked it up and had fun. The mini games held their attention. So, you know what? That's what it needed to be. And good for Final Fantasy VII. Good that it became a worldwide hit, and good that it brought attention to this franchise, other entries.